The way you're driving the car is you're looking in the rearview mirror, so all you're seeing is what's behind you, and then you wonder why you keep running into shit.
Amazing.
Yeah. Right? So anyway, so
amazing
then I said to
analogy.
him, what if I told you
I love that one.
for the rest of the season, you shot...
To you, watching, is just B. How we doing? My name is Vish.
And I'm Nina.
And today, we'll be reacting to Peter Crone's video on
how to overcome your limiting beliefs.
Peter Crone seems like a cool guy, so I'm excited.
Me too. Let's get into it.
The health of your mind, your subconscious mind in particular, is critical for, even if what we think we're looking for is physical well-being, I don't really think you can have physical well-being without that mental well-being. I'm not sure it's possible.
If you don't take care of what's going on in the subconscious of people's minds, at best, the term I use is you're going to be the greatest version of your limited self. Now, if you really get that statement, it's very profound, right? So you're stuck within the...
Okay, he just said, if you're not focusing on the mental well-being, what was the line?
You're going to be the greatest version of your limited self. I love that.
There's a lot to unpack in that one line itself, but we'll explore more.
Parameters of your blind spots, right? These beliefs of inadequacy, insecurity, and scarcity, which to me are universal, they're primal, they're very deep. Then we develop survival mechanisms, adaptations, compensations. And then on top of that, our physiology is going to, just by natural cascade, reflect whatever's going on internally, which is, as you know, as a doctor, usually a mild state of fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system, cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, that whole storm of hormones that really is doing us a disservice. It's affecting people's sleep and weight gain. All of the things that people are dealing symptomatically on the surface, to me, are a byproduct of the fact that human beings currently are designed to survive. Everything is a potential perceived threat, whether it's being what your boss is going to say, or your spouse is going to say, or your parents are going to say, or am I going to be able to pay rent, or am I going to be okay in the future? Am I going to realize my dreams? Am I ever going to quit smoking? Am I ever going to lose weight? All of these sort of unanswerable questions inspire this internal sort of fight and battle that people have, that to me is the dis-ease, the absence of ease, that then manifests over time into some physical symptoms. So that's why I get super passionate about this, because you can do all the work externally, and it's not a knock on your industry. And thank God you listen, and that's why you're making the difference you are. Because if you don't address what's going on mentally and emotionally for somebody, at best you're just making the window dressing look good while the back of the shop is just on fire. I tell people, you can't create the life of someone you don't yet believe yourself to be.
Yeah.
Right. So again, this is one of my quotes that I use in my book, right? So it's like recognizing that if you're wanting to create a certain life externally, then if you don't emulate that internally in the way that you view yourself, in the way that you speak about yourself, the way that you behave, then you're, to use the English expression, you're pissing into the wind, right? It's not going to work because you're going against the grain of how you're fundamentally conditioned.
Anxiety is something that I used to really struggle with. I wasn't sure if I would ever get through it.
I remember having anxiety and thinking that it was going to last literally forever. I used to have panic attacks, racing thoughts, and super uncomfortable physical symptoms.
Learn the 3 simple steps that we took to get through anxiety in the link in the description down below.
We look forward to seeing you there.
I'll use a sports analogy because I think, I work with a lot of professional athletes, and it's a beautiful metaphor for life. So I was hired by a very successful basketball player here. And he was struggling from the free throw. Like when one of the players gets fouled, you go to the free throw, it's a relatively easy shot. The league average is 75%. So when a guy is fouled, he goes to the free throw line, usually makes the 1-pointer, 7, 8 times out of 10. This guy's average was 35%. So, it wasn't even close to average. It was half the average. And you can imagine he was, losing sleep. It was affecting his personal relationships at home because of the stress. Crowds were starting to boo. And here's somebody who's getting paid millions of dollars. There's literally millions of fans. They're fanatical here in the States about their sports. And it was costing him a lot. He was really, really struggling. So the point about addiction and why I'm using this sports metaphor as a comparison is he had become addicted to the fact that he had a problem. So when I met him, I said, you're probably speaking to everyone you can, from players, coaches, even sports psychologists. He's like, I'm doing everything I can to fix the problem. I said, and therein lies one of your biggest obstacles, because you keep reinforcing the belief that you've got a problem. Do you remember the movie Men in Black with Will Smith, and they waved the black wand after they'd seen the aliens to wipe their memory? So I said to the guy, I said, if you had no memory, where's your problem? Just to start to give him an indicator that what he's fighting is his history. So now he goes up to the free throw line. He isn't even focused on what he's trying to accomplish, which is make the basket. He is trying to avoid his history of hurt, trauma. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the word trauma, but past failings or disappointments where we got upset. And now he's standing there literally trying to fix his history. But that's only impossible. So, I mean, I played that guy. As you can probably imagine,
simple,
I'm coming
but so
from a lot of love
powerful.
and compassion. He's doing the best he can. It's affecting him dramatically. But I said, once he got to see it, I said, I used a metaphor. You're like driving a car, but the way you're driving the car is you're looking in the rearview mirror. So all you're seeing is what's behind you, and then you wonder why you keep running into shit.
Amazing.
Right? So anyway, so
amazing
then I said to
analogy.
him, what if I told you
I love that one.
that for the rest of the season, you shot league average? Let's just be, we'll be conservative. You shot 75% instead of 35, 37. His shoulders dropped. He had the biggest smile on his face. This guy's huge. He's like, 7 foot something. And he's like,
I wonder who it
would
is.
feel
It's the
amazing.
best player.
I said, what I just presented to you is a future that is as real as the one you're concerned about. The difference is, I recognize that as a possibility, whereas you're so busy trying to avoid your history that you're actually standing in the line in a state of anxiety, which is self-perpetuating. It's self-fulfilling. Both the futures, you're worried about one. Mine is phenomenal, or at least better. They're both made up. Why? Because we're still sitting in your house. We haven't gone anywhere. But mine elicits joy, freedom, relaxation. If you're an athlete coming from freedom, joy, and relaxation, I don't care what sport you're doing, you're going to do it better than if you're coming from tension, anxiety, and worry. That night, he had a game. He shot 6 out of 8, so that was 75%. And for the rest of the week, he shot 68%.
Way better than previous.
Almost double if you're into that kind of stuff. Right? So what happened
Sounds
is, going
good.
back to the
I don't
addiction,
know
is most people
anything
are
about
completely
basketball.
addicted to their history and then spending the rest of their life trying to compensate for it. Versus, what are you committed to? What's the future you're stepping into out of pure creation versus reaction? And it's a distinction I make. Most people are reactive versus creative. Let's wake up and find so much more joy and freedom for ourselves and come from a place where we're creating an extraordinary future that we're working towards versus trying to fix a history behind us, which we can't do anything about anyway.
Yeah.
2 totally different worlds to live in.
I love to leave the listeners
Bam.
with some hopefully simple ideas and tips that they can think about applying into their own lives immediately to start transforming the way that they feel.
The first thing that comes to mind intuitively, I'm just going to trust, is slow down. Just for everybody to slow down. The world is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, metaphorically, and people are just rushing around. And invariably, it's for this idealized future that everyone's
We need to
chasing.
speed up.
So to the point earlier, we're under the impression that this one day phenomenon is when I'm going to have the perfect body, the right relationship, enough money, yada, yada, yada. And what we're doing is we're sort of perpetually pushing away our feeling better. Because I'm saying, well, that's where it's all going to work out. But right now, it's not so good. So I would say embrace life for what it is, embrace yourself for who you are, and embrace others for who they are. I use the expression, everybody's a masterpiece and yet a work in progress.
So I see why you like Peter Crone so much. I really like how he breaks down things so simply, and it makes sense. It really does. What'd you think?
Yeah, the way that he talks, he's able to say something that is so simple and that maybe you've heard many times in spiritual practice, especially. But the way that he delivers what he's saying and the clarity with which he says it is just freaking amazing. Like,
I agree.
unbelievable.
Every word is just so intentional, so clear. No fluff. Yeah, I love it.
Every word handpicked. Like,
I especially love the analogy he had with the driving. Simple and beautiful, right? Like, how do you expect to drive well when you're just looking at the back and not looking what's right in front of you? Like, that's literally the present moment. So many of us are so stuck in the past and just not able to let go of all that conditioning around us. And what matters the most is just what's in front of you. It's as simple as that.
I mean, in a literal sense too, right? Because it's the only thing that's real right now, in the sense that you can never really go back to the past. You can always have the memory of it, and it doesn't mean that what happened didn't happen, but you can't actually go back there. You can't actually change something, or maybe you can.
Not yet, at least. Time travel.
Aliens!
Time traveling doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, that's what you think. But no, you can't actually go back in the past and change something. And the future even, right? It exists in the mind.
Yes.
The past exists in our minds.
Yeah.
But we're always right here, right now. Even when we're talking about the future, we're never going to be existing in the future. You only ever exist in the now. And when you talk about the future, it's going to happen in the now, not in some hypothetical future. Everything happens right now. It's like this is the most important moment because it's the only moment. And when he said, slow down, and you made a joke of like, I think we need to speed up. I think, honestly, I thought about that and I thought, yeah, we do need to speed up. And then I thought, actually, I think when you are slowed down internally, it actually allows you to be much more efficient and to do things much quicker.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah,
that's
because
good.
When I think of like the paralysis and the
good.
freeze of like you're not getting stuff done or you're not doing as much as you want to be doing, to me a lot of that is because there's a lot of like internal quickness or there's a lot of internal
that's beautiful.
This, or so much thought. But then you can feel on the outside like you're moving so slowly. But when there's quiet or stillness internally, you can get, I get so much more done.
Yeah.
That I want to be doing. What do you think?
No, I absolutely agree. I loved how you broke that down. I also loved the analogy because back to what Crone is saying, the inner environment that you create matters so much, right? And so it's not about what you do. It's about how you do what you do. It's a place that you do things from. And so creating that sort of slow, calm, stress-free environment within yourself will naturally permeate to the outside. And so whatever you do will be stress-free. And back to that just power of now, shout out to Eckhart Tolle for that one. It's such a freeing realization to realize that all that you have is the now. That now that I just said 2 seconds ago doesn't even exist now. It's recorded on camera, but it technically is gone. And that gone that I just said is also gone. And so it's really cool because we tend to like be so lost and identified with the future and the past and what we have to do or what we haven't done and what keeps happening, and it's just so freeing when you just realize that they don't really exist. This doesn't mean that you can't work on your goals or you can't work on your past traumas or your past whatever, past relationships, but to realize that you can work on these things from the now makes it so much more simpler and easier. And it's that like easiness, going back to what he said, this ease, that easiness is just a natural byproduct.
So going back to what Peter Crone said in the beginning that you called out, you'll be the greatest version of your limited self. It's like if you have your own internal limitations and you don't even know that they're there, how could you outperform your own cage that you've created for yourself? It's like you can only expand as far as those limitations allow you to expand, and it's not until you're able to break through them or release them, let go of them, whatever language you want to use to explain it, but it's not until they are gone that you're able to actually fully expand into your greatest potential, highest consciousness, however you want to say it. What did you want to say about it? Because you paused to think about it for a second.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on that because it was a very packed statement. I feel like, I'm not sure what he was suggesting directly, because overall I like the problem that he was highlighting, that most of us have. I'm not sure if I really got the solution from the video or from him. And so in that specific instance, when he talks about you being the greatest version of your limited self, I feel like most people would, instead of recommending you think of yourself as a small whatever person, they would tell you to think of yourself as a great person, or like a powerful person, or a, you know, I'm enough person, all these different things. But to be frank, I feel like it's very not even necessary. Like, why even create any sort of label on what you want to be? I feel like the moment you just stop identifying with anything, whether it's something greater or lesser, you're automatically allowing the most authentic part of you to unravel itself automatically. I don't think you need to really tell yourself, I am great, or I am powerful, or I am this. Why even tell yourself that? You know what I mean?
Did you feel like that's what he was saying?
I'm not sure, but I'm just saying for people that interpret it in that way, because he was saying if you have this like very, let's say, low view on yourself, that like you think you're not enough. If for people that think that they're not enough, as an example, that's a limiting belief. So now the greatest version of themselves will be limited by that belief itself. What I'm saying is get rid of every belief. Whether you're enough or you're not enough, it doesn't matter. Just literally just be. Does that make sense?
But I guess because you started by saying like, I don't know if I really got the how, but I feel like that's still like, what's the how? Do you know what I mean? Because I think that Peter Crone's whole thing is exactly that, is to realize that you just are, like, I am, but you're not any of the things that, any of the illusions that are created in the mind.
Yes. So I agree with that. I'm not saying he wasn't saying that. I'm just saying for people that interpret it as, instead of saying, I'm not enough, because when he said that people have limiting beliefs around themselves, I feel like people can easily take that as, okay, let's not make it a small one, but let's make it a big one now.
Oh, so you're saying that people might hear that
Yes.
and think, okay, I don't want to have those limiting beliefs, so instead I'm going to believe something else about myself?
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Okay, I get what you're saying.
And make it a positive thing, right?
yeah.
People have all these,
Yeah.
here's the thing, right? People have all these negative beliefs about themselves. And so I feel like people can so quickly jump to okay, let me make it a positive thing. What I'm saying is, forget the negative, forget the positive.
Yeah.
Just be.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Great rap.
It's the beliefs themselves
are
limiting. Yeah.
It's not the limiting belief. It's that the beliefs are limiting.
But that got me thinking. I'm like, are all beliefs limiting?
That's why it's a belief.
I'm just trying to think though, right? Like, imagine you have a belief that...
Just a belief. Because it literally limits you. Like, it goes back to the difference between belief and seek. To seek and to believe. You know what I mean? The moment you believe in something, you're automatically putting yourself in a cage. Because you don't know what is outside that reality.
But my question is this, right? Like, is it actually possible? Like, I'm open to either, any option. Like, is it actually possible to not have beliefs?
Yeah.
Like, deep in your subconscious, is it possible to not have beliefs?
Well, do we really know what's in our deep subconscious? Do we really know? Like, do you know what's exactly in your subconscious?
I do not. No,
exactly.
Of course not. I would love to just pull out the chip that's definitely in my brain.
But here's the point, right? To even assume that there is these things in your subconscious is another belief. Like, we don't know for sure. What if the subconscious is just a whole made up thing? I'm not saying it's made up, but like, we're validating things that might not even be true. So, my suggestion to you watching is just be. Well, thank you so much for making it this far. We really, really appreciated you taking this time to hear our thoughts, our views, obviously Crone's views on limiting beliefs, and comment down below what you think, or more importantly, what you reflected on with what we shared, Crone shared, or just anything you want to share. Let us know.
And comment down below any other videos or people that you want us to watch.
And with that, we will see you soon.